what's happening, everybody? It is Thursday night, time for an episode of Thrifty Your Business. I'm your one host, Jason Thrifts. How are you? And I got a special co-host tonight. Andy, how the heck are you?
Good. Good to be here.
I haven't seen you in a while. I'm like, oh, let's see what Andy's up to. See if he wants to co-host tonight. And you're like, yeah, let's do this. So you are, everyone tuning in tonight, you're in for a real treat when it comes to media because the three of us sell different versions of it. So it's going to be pretty much a master class in media. And let's not hesitate. Let's get right to our first segment. Now it's time for Jay's Tiki Talk. Each week, I drink a different rum out of a different tiki mug and try and match it up to my guest. And our guest this week is Brian Satinover. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing all right.
All right. So, Brian,
glad to be here.
You and I, unbeknownst to each other, crossed paths in Chicago, and we'll talk about that when we interview you. So with that being said, I wanted to bring out a Chicago tiki mug from one of the best tiki bars, 3 Dots and a Dash. I wanted to show this mug specifically because there are very few all-white mugs. Like, I have 1,200 mugs in my collection, and I think I have 3 white ones. So if you find a white tiki mug, it is very rare. Don't underprice it. But because Brian is on tonight, he's been selling online for almost 30 years. So almost pre-internet. And so I had to go with something that said the original. So I went with original Trader Vic's dark rum tonight because Brian, you are the original. Andy and I flip CDs. You flipped floppy disks. So we're going to definitely talk about that. That's going old school. That's real original. So cheers. Thank you, sirs, for being on tonight. What are you enjoying there, Andy?
A whiskey sour.
And what are you enjoying, Brian?
I got grape Powerade and strawberry Spreacher.
All right. Good to see everybody in the chat. How's everybody doing? Thank you very much for joining us. All right, Brian, sit back, relax, and Andy and I will see you in a little bit.
All right.
Cool. All right, here we go. Now it's time for our scores of the week. These are the items that you should be on the lookout for when you're out thrifting. And Andy is up first.
All right, so this is a Grateful Dead live concert album. I don't even know how many of these there are, but there's a lot of them, and they're called Dick's Picks. And I picked this up as part of a larger lot of CDs, and so the $5 is kind of a guess, but
I need exact. To the penny.
So yeah, but that was a nice sale here as things are kind of picking up for me. So
yeah, those Dick's, I was telling Andy before we started, I haven't found a good Dick's Picks in quite a while, and those are always do quite well. This is funny. This is one of your scores because the other day I was just casually watching it for like the millionth time, and my wife's like, I don't think I've ever seen this movie. I'm like, what? So I TiVo'd it so we can watch the whole thing together.
Well, I have never seen the movie either.
What?
So.
Oh my gosh. It's a great movie.
I'll have to check it out, but I did like finding the soundtrack. I found this at a half price books, and I've had a lot of luck sourcing there. You got to pay up a bit, but they've already kind of, the CDs are usually in pretty good shape. So they've kind of weeded out some of the crummy condition ones. So I don't mind paying up a bit.
And I got to say, in all my 20 plus years of flipping CDs, I've never seen this one.
Oh, nice.
Good on ya. What? Cassette sell? Say that isn't so.
Yeah, I've actually had quite a bit selling lately. So this one, a couple copies of Top Gun soundtrack, Footloose. It seems like people are enjoying their throwback to their youth here in quarantine.
Was this new or used?
Used.
Wow, I'm actually a little surprised by this one. That's
it seems like there's some there's just a few like real popular ones that are real fast sellers that if you sell prime you can price them pretty high.
All right, so we had a couple of questions, so I had to back up real quick. Dick's Picks are official. They're not bootleg. And Dick's Picks is not a band. The band is the Grateful Dead. Dick, do you know his whole name?
Nah, I don't remember off.
Yeah, a gentleman named Dick recorded a lot of them, and then the Grateful Dead, or he released them, or they released them together, or they gave him permission, whatever. But there's so many out there Dick's Picks 1 through whatever. So it's Grateful Dead, Dick's Picks. There you go. And back to where we were. And hey, what's this Blu-ray?
This just randomly found at a thrift store one day and just wanted to throw it in there because I can't sell Blu-rays on Amazon, but things like this, demo discs, any sort of media like that is often worth a fair amount of money, even on eBay. So that's something to keep an eye out for as you're sourcing.
Good score, sir. All right, I'm gonna get to my regular scores and into my music scores. Here is a very sexy jean jacket that, funny enough, Andy bought for me. He wanted to wear it this summer. But you know, this is the kind of thing that it isn't my style, but you shouldn't shop for your style. You should definitely shop for your customer style. And I got $50 for it. I paid $8.99 for it, and it didn't last too long. It was only up for maybe a couple of months.
That is phenomenal.
Oh, I do want to give a shout out. I usually do this once we get going, but Chris and Bender and I have been friends since, good Lord, 1980 maybe. So, hey, Chris, and she's from my hometown of Chardon. How are you? Good to see you. All right, selling on Macari. Also, I found 5 bobbleheads one day for $3 each. I sold 3 of them on eBay together for $65, and then these 2 on Macari for $34. So pretty good return. It was one of those days too. My wife and I were running errands. I'm like, let me run this Goodwill real quick, and didn't find much, but did find 5 bobbleheads that I sold. And look, this is not the most exciting Hilo Hattie shirt. It's a little bit older, but it's cool. It's not super common. And as you can see, I sold it in Great British Pounds. That means I sold it directly on eBay UK for $57. So yeah, this isn't even my wearing scores that I wanted to share with everybody. All right, I keep sourcing these at Ross, Marshalls. These are silver tab Levi's striped overalls.
Wow.
Between my wife and I, we have found 6 or 7 pair, and this also is off to Europe, $112, and I got them at Marshalls for $20.
Nice.
Brand new. So I got 1 pair left. Oh, whoops. I jumped ahead. I jumped ahead. Now it's time for CD and cassette scores of the week. And as always, we start out with flipping cassettes first. All right, Snoop Dogg on cassette with the original song that got cut out after a little while. G's up and hose down. $40 used on cassette. If you're not looking at cassettes yet, why not? Come on. You saw Andy sell Tom Petty for $25. I sold Snoop for $40. And now this is the one I really wanted to be like, what? Okay, so I sold a used Pink Floyd metal for $33. I want to point out something, Andy. Look at the shipping. They paid for second day air on a used cassette. So with everything in tax, this customer paid $57.74 for that he needed in 2 days. I would love to write my customers and go, I just got to know what was happening that you needed this cassette in 2 days.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that is absolutely awesome. And that's why you have the option for customers to upgrade their shipping. And now from flipping cassettes to flipping CDs. All right, if you saw my tease, this is the week. I usually show you 4 scores. And every week in the last 2 months, I've had at least $100 score. This week, they're all 100 or more. These 4 CDs add up to almost $600. And none of them were found cheaply. None of them were found at a thrift store, although they can be. Thrift stores are always crapshoots, but I do hunt in record stores. So Sam Hain is a group fronted by Glenn Danzig, who was the leader of, for a while, the Misfits and Glenn Danzig solo. I paid $25 for the Sam Hain and sold it for $99. And that's my cheap one, Andy.
Wow, that is impressive.
This is the most awful John Belushi movie of all time. There is not one laughing at it. And it's not one of those movies that are so bad they're good. It's just bad. But the score is by John Williams. I paid $40 and I sold it for $115. And look, They too needed it.
I was gonna say, yeah.
$20 for second
That's awesome.
air. All right, Roxy Music. Now, this is a special kind of CD. This is a super audio CD. I did pay $26 for it, and they paid me $125 for it.
Nice.
And we're still not at my best. Here's my best of the week. Princess Crystal Ball for $250.
Wow.
Now, I did pay $72 for this, but I knew in the condition that it was and how poorly the original person listed it online, I could sell it for a lot more. As you can see, I did. I might have been able to hold out for $300, but I got a nice offer of $250. Customers already left me positive feedback, so I'm very happy and excited for that return. So when all the smoke cleared, I think I cleared $145 in profit.
Nice. That's it.
So of those 4 CDs, my average sale price when you put those 4 together is $147.
Well, but you shouldn't spend your time sourcing CDs, though.
I
Right?
know. And about an hour before we went live, I sold another $100 CD. So that's my 5th CD in the last week. So that'll be the first one you will see next week. So if you have not started, oops. I guess I had my commercial in a different spot. But wait, there's more. Hold up. It's time for Stacy's Budget Bin Scores. All right, Andy, when I'm out there sourcing, I have a partner in crime, usually my wife, and she has gotten to be the queen at picking out the budget bin ones. And so usually the average is about $15. This week's a little bit better. So she picked up this Barney Kessel. I don't even know who he is. For $1 and we sold it for $19.98. And this the Great Escape soundtrack. I love this picture of her.
Oh, nice.
This score actually by Elmer Bernstein. Also $1 out of the budget bin, $25. So if you can find a partner and one who can do the budget bins while you're doing the regular bins, man, that's some good money to be made.
You know what's funny is I just found a Bernie Kessel CD and a bunch of CDs I got from Vegas. So maybe there's something about Bernie Kessel in Vegas.
And I do want to point out, my week I sell a $250 CD and all these other $100 CDs. Chris drops a CD for $500. So well done, Chris. So if you don't believe there's money in CDs yet, I don't know what's going to take to convince you. Chris sold a CD for $500. And by the way, Roxy Music is a band led by Brian Ferry. Now I think my commercial is here. There we go. Okay. If you have not started flipping CDs yet, what are you waiting for? I can teach you. You don't got to learn on your own. I have all these classes over at flippingcds.com. If you buy the whole, the full Monty, as we call it, is flipping CDs 1, 2, flipping cassettes, flipping print CDs, flipping Christmas CDs. You get over 10 hours of content for like $100. I think we have the price at. So this helps you. And this is the time to, stores are starting to reopen, learn your craft, and then get out there and apply it.
Yeah. I took all Jason's classes and I hadn't flipped CDs before that. And it certainly was well worth the cost. And paid off big time for me. So,
no. And I did not ask Andy to say that. So thank you very much, Andy. All right. And I didn't tell Andy about this, but now it's time for close encounters of the thrifty kind. I'm out of order, but that's okay. I just wanted to share this real quick. I've had a lot of friends find money in clothes, find money in desks they buy, but this is what I normally find. I shared this in my haul last week. Yep, half-used cigarette. That's my thrifty encounter. It's usually dirty Kleenexes, but this time it was a half-used cigarette.
nice.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Buffalo Exchange. Now it's time for our duds of the week. Do not let our mistakes be yours.
Oh,
It's kind of cute. I like it.
Yeah, so I sourced this locally on Facebook, I think, and either it had a chip and I didn't notice, or I chipped it. I'm not sure which one, but I got it home and there was a nice chip on the whichever duck this is in the front here, his bill. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So it went from a solid find to sitting in my house for a year while I waited for someone to mercifully take it off my hands. But it sold and I made some money still. Shipping wasn't too bad with FedEx, but yeah, it was took up a lot of space, and I had to be very careful with it to not damage it more. So
since I also sell a lot of breakables like that, here's my little tip I would tell you for the future. You're still going to point it out. You're still going to put it in your description, but have a set of markers, and you have kids, and color it in to the closest it can be. It looks less glaring when you color it in. You're still going to point it out, but it definitely softens the blow.
Okay.
Especially when it's a chip, like if there was a chip on this, it would so stick out. But I'm definitely going to find a brown marker to soften the blow.
Okay.
And Chuck wanted to know if we did auctions on our CDs and tapes. Pretty much all buy it nows with best offer. I price mine all higher than they should be with best offer, and sometimes they sell for the higher price, and sometimes people give me the best offer, and then the best offer comes in at where it should be. And I think you're the same way, right, Andy?
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I ran an auction on pretty much anything, but it would have to be incredibly valuable and sought after.
Yep.
This I bought knowing that it might not work, but with the hope that I could get it working. And then it, even with cleaning out the battery compartment, it didn't work. And then it sat and sat and sat and sat. And then somebody paid for expedited shipping because they needed a broken tape player. So
just when I thought my stuff was screwy, why people are paying so much, you're like, yes, I need this broken tape player quickly.
Yep. So that was a little disappointing, but glad it sold.
And I always share with my duds on CDs when I make a mistake, because I bought this wonderful CD, Andy, for $8 and sold it for $9. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, because after fees and stuff, this was a loser.
It's out of print, though, right?
Yeah, but I want to show to you, if you do start flipping CDs or any other thing that you don't normally do, don't be bummed out if you lose money, because look, I made a ton of money on those 4 scores, and I lost a couple bucks on this one. It's going to happen, because some days when you source an item, it's good that day. By the time you list it, it's not so good no more. It happens. And then this is one of the greatest movies, great soundtrack. I've had it on vinyl forever, and I don't think anyone's ever even made me an offer. And this is a great soundtrack. The vinyl is very good plus, which means it's clean. It won't have a lot of noise to it. So I'm a little shocked by that. All my records have been selling well, but this poor soul never gets any love. All right, now it's time for. Now it's time for You've Got to Be Shipping Me. Now it's time for Where in the World Did Our Stuff Go? If you are not shipping internationally, you are leaving out 7.3 billion with a B potential customers. I was close.
Yeah. So this one, this was actually one of the first CDs I found after I took your first class, and I thought it was going to sell. So this actually was almost a dud, except that it sold and I shipped it overseas. So went to Glasgow, England, or the UK. So I was glad to see this one go.
And you got the easy one this week, because mine went to Kuusankauski, Finland. So a little bonus bolo. This was a Tool kind of like giveaway way back in the days. There's only 3 songs on this CD, and it's just in a cardboard sleeve, as you can see, $65 to Finland. Nice. And it costs nothing to ship. It only weighs about 3 ounces when it's in a cardboard sleeve. Of course, I protected it with extra cardboard, but some kid in Finland just discovered Tool, and he needs this rare CD, and he paid $65 plus shipping. So if you're not shipping internationally, Andy and I are getting all your customers.
That was Tool was the last show I went to before everything went crazy.
Yeah, it was one of ours too. Great show, but yeah. I'm itching for another show now. All right, now let's see if I got it right. Now it's time for You've Got to Be Ship Me. What to do and what not to do when it comes to shipping.
So I think I got 2 tips this week. The first is if you're shipping something flat like a sticker or paper goods, anything like that, if you rotate the 2 pieces of cardboard so that the corrugation is kind of running not parallel but perpendicular to one another, that adds a lot of strength to your the cardboard. You can't bend it nearly as easily. So that is a one that has, I think, saved me a lot of money, because I ship a lot of stickers and prints and things like that flat. So it gives you a lot more strength to that package.
Now, I have never thought of that, so I loved when I saw this tip come up. I'm like, I never thought of that. And then this is just genius. It's one of those things I'm like, why have I not done this?
Yeah, so this you can actually ship stuff first class mail this way if you're wanting to do that without tracking. But if you just cut a hole in the cardboard if you're shipping something small that normally people wrap it in bubble wrap and put it in an envelope, but even in bubble wrap an item can get smashed, something that's kind of fragile. So something I sell a lot of are these 1-inch pins, and I've seen a lot of them get crushed even in bubble envelope. So I came up with this little method of cutting a hole in the cardboard and then putting it inside, kind of sandwiched between 2 note cards, and you can just throw it in a manila envelope and off it goes. No bubble needed.
I love that. That's pretty epic. You just changed how I ship pins, and I shipped a couple last week too. All right, I did something new. I don't usually do new things because I've shipped a lot in 20 years, so I'm pretty much I'm good. I know what I'm doing, but I tried something new. I sold these 2 urchin mugs together, and I thought I don't need a really long box, but what if I just stack them on top of each other? Let me try that. So I took the cube. This is the Priority Mail Cube, 7 by 7 by 6. And that was the worst toss ever. Get off me. And I Frankenboxed them. I put 2 together. That's what we call Frankenboxing. So I laid some peanuts in the bottom, then put the first one down, then a little bit more peanuts, and the second one on top of it, a little bit more peanuts, and then voila. That's it. Nice. So, I didn't have to go searching for a box. I had the 2 cubes ready to go. And what's nice about the cube, as opposed to some of the other boxes, the cube is thick cardboard. And so these mugs are pretty thick, but I really wanted to be sturdy and steady. And it didn't have to be really oversized because those mugs weren't that big. So we didn't need some gigantic box. And anytime you can use the free priority boxes, definitely use them. Definitely.
That's a good tip.
All right. Now it's time for the Thrifty Tips of the Week. Little tips and tricks to help you out when you are outsourcing. This is not your Thrifty tip. No. Let me do mine because I think I didn't pull yours up. Hold on. I knew Debbie was throwing it in there. So let me do mine first. Amoeba Records is one of the greatest record stores in the country. The one in Hollywood is moving, and then there's 2 up in the Bay Area. And so what I wanted to share is when I shop there, I always spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars because I don't get in too often. I get in LA and San Fran a couple times a year. And when you spend $200, $300, $400, $500, they always throw in a free t-shirt and a free bag and some other goodies. So anytime you're sourcing and you get stuff, if you don't need it, sell it. So it's like kind of free sourcing. So I every t-shirt I've gotten, and I get one almost every trip, every time I visit them, I sell for around either to 20, 25 bucks. So, it adds to my profit margin. And I never think of it as anything but more profit. Would you like a t-shirt, sir? Absolutely. What's the coolest one you have right now? That's the one I want. And that's the one I'm going to sell. And there you go.
All right. So mine is take care of your source your sources that you kind of frequent often. And I have a guy who does estate cleanouts that every few months will kind of save up a bunch of media and then give me a call, and I'll come pick it up from him. And I had a CD from the very first time I got stuff from him sell for it was like $100 some bucks. And so the last time I went and picked up stuff from him, I threw him an extra $20 and just said like, hey, the CD I got from you last year sold, and just wanted to say thank you for always thinking of me, and just kind of keep that relationship kind of co-beneficial, because you could probably just as easily get rid of it some other way. So
I like it. All right, two more segments. Now it's time for our online selling tips of the week. Doesn't matter if you're selling on Depop, Etsy, Mercari, eBay, or Poshmark. Here's some little tips and tricks to help you out when selling.
So Jason, I saw a post this week from you about kind of time is money, something to that effect. And this is kind of an example of that. So these are something I listed a long time ago and just had to keep dropping the price. And they finally sold for $6 with free shipping.
Whoa.
And they were both sealed, send them off. I make my $1.50 or whatever, hoping, never think about it again. And sure enough, a week or so later, I get a message from the buyer showing me one of the discs. And it looked like it had been attacked by a belt sander. And she said, I opened it up and it looked like this. And I thought, no way was this brand new disc this damaged. And then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to refund the money because it's literally not worth, any more of my time. So she probably
it's always those cheap ones that bite you. Always.
Yeah, it was like you were on my shoulder, talking in my ear as this whole thing played out. I thought I should have just taken it down and donated them.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, look, my $250 CD went. The customer loved it. You $6 free shipping. Hey, so
Yep.
Yeah, that's a bummer. All right. So we've always talked about the sending out offers on eBay, and I keep forgetting to talk about it on Mercari. So when you're on the app, at the bottom of your screen, there's a little thing that says notifications. So you want to click on that if you have things listed, and it'll tell you that when people like your item, that means they saw your item, they click the little heart, so they like it, and you can send out offers. Now, you can down price your item as a promotion to anybody who's looking at it, or you can send direct. And I have never, ever had success when I down price it to the world. I have good success when I send it out directly. So your options are promote to everyone, public sale, or promote to likers only, private sale. And so I send it out just to them. And then so I knocked it down $90, and it'll then pop back to the normal if this expires. I was hoping someone would take this before we went live. They didn't. But I would say 1 of every 10 I do, it results in a sale like that. So it's a pretty good, it takes no time when you could be sitting anywhere on your phone, send out some offers, and 10% turn into sales on the rather quick. So don't forget to do that.
Nice.
And last but not least, now it's time for Unseasonably Sold. What did you sell out of season? Now, funny, Andy, someone in one of my groups today said, hey, I bought all these Christmas CDs, but the prices don't look so good right now. What do I do? And I said, well, Andy's going to address that tonight.
Yes. So, I sent in all my Christmas stuff kind of last year, and after Christmas time, whatever didn't sell, I just let it sit there because I didn't want to, go through and, like a lot of other sellers, go through and drop the price to where they're making next to nothing. I just figure I'll let it ride, and sure enough, somebody needed the Beauty and the Beast soundtrack in June. So
Yeah.
Who am I to judge? But I was happy that I got $16 for it still, and it just saves you the time of having to worry about the what the going rate is at any time of the year. So just kind of price it what you want during the season and let it go.
Yep. I love that you wrote price it like it's December 20th. Absolutely. All right. Someone needed the Beast Christmas CD, and someone needed these Lee Big Eyed Children, one being in the wintertime in June. Who knows? Who cares? But people buy stuff all year round. So I used to teach people, hold on to your stuff until it's a month and a half out. No more. That's so not that the norm anymore. Because for whatever reason, people see a movie. Like I saw a Christmas movie on HBO the other day. I'm like, that's weird. But people see that movie and they're like, oh, this was the Christmas music. Oh, look, Andy's got that CD. I'm going to buy it now. So keep listening to your stuff, but price it like it is the season. So Christmas stuff, price it like it is December. All right, real quick, a couple of house cleaning things, and we'll get Brian in here and talk about what it was like to sell pre-internet. I mean, this is just mind-boggling to me. First off, it is Pride Month. I will be adding this banner to the top of the Thrifting board tonight or tomorrow morning. And I want to touch on that real quick and the kind of civil unrest that's happening in our country. I'm not going to go into a big, deep discussion. It's not going to become a political discussion or a race discussion at this moment. But I do want to say that the Thrifting board has always been and will always be open and welcoming to every single person. It does not matter your skin color, your religion, where you were born, who you love. None of that matters. Well, here's what matters. Do you like to thrift? Do you want to learn how to sell? Come on in. That's all that matters. I don't care. And I don't care what political party you belong to. I'm happy to help you. So the Thrifting board is all welcoming. If you've not joined the Thrifting board, find us on Facebook. You will see this picture at the top. I want to thank Nadine for doing all my artwork as always. And so I want to just let everybody know that they are welcome without prejudice in the Thrifting board. So please come and share with your friends. And for more fun on YouTube this Sunday, Mom and I have talked about Etsy for a couple times. I looked it up, but we never actually showed how to list on Etsy. So I'm going to list a vintage tiki mug, and Mom is going to list a vintage Hawaiian dress to show you it's not real hard. In fact, eBay is the hardest. I figured out, Andy. I've been listed on all the platforms now. eBay is definitely the hardest. It is way more intricate and detailed, where like these other platforms is like boom, 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 and you're done. Move on. So we're going to show thanks, Melissa. We're going to show how easy it is to list on Etsy. So I'll go first, and then we'll watch Mom do it. And then Mom and Dad have garage sale this week, so they've got some good stuff to share. And next week, my good friends Thor and Melissa are on, and they are a married couple that sell online together, and they set a daily and a weekly and a monthly goal, and they stick to it. And I'm like, we've never really talked about hitting goals. And I'm kind of loosey-goosey with that. I list, I don't list, I get my stuff done, but I don't have specific goals. But I think goals help a lot of people, Andy. And you're a teacher, you know that, Oh, yeah. So we're going to talk about goals next week for sure.
Yeah, that'll be it. I'll be tuning in. That sounds like a great show.
Because I've, people say, hey, how many things you get listed in a day, in a week? I'm like, I'll take pictures for a while, then we'll list for a while. So I don't have those concrete numbers, but it's nice to see people who do, because others need that. And that's fine. That's great. Yeah. All right. So let's get our guest in here. Ding dong. I still got to get one of those things added. That's one thing I have not added yet. I need a fun little ding dong. What's happening, Brian? How are you?
I'm all right. I'm doing well.
All right. So let's let's start in the middle, and then we'll back up, because, Debbie's my producer, and she's in the chat. Hi, Debs. She takes care of the guests beforehand, like a producer does in any talk show, whether it be YouTube or The Tonight Show, getting info from the guest. And as I'm reading the info, I'm like, oh my God, Brian and I were in the same spot 12 years ago, 10 years ago, and I didn't know him. But based on what I was reading, I'm like, oh my God, I kind of know Brian. So what year was that, Bri?
2008.
Okay. So it's 2008. What was it called? eBay Live? Was that
eBay Live 2008 Chicago?
All right. So here we are 12 years ago. And Brian says in his notes, I'm the one who stood up and said, I'm the redheaded stepchild of eBay. I sell on half.com. Now, Andy, are you familiar with half.com?
You know, what's funny is that's where I started.
All right. We all started there. So the real quick, 20-second education, half.com was kind of like Amazon, could have been Amazon. They started out selling only textbooks at half of the retail price, realized that was too narrow of a focus. They added movies and they added CDs and stuff. And then they let us sell for more than half because some things they realized were out of print and not only worth half. So at the beginning, if the CD was new for $20, you could only sell it used for 10 or less, hence half.com. So what happened was eBay bought it. They pulled it inside of eBay. They ruined the brand and they realized they ruined it. They tried to push it back out. It was too late. They tried to bring it back in again, and then they just put it out of its misery. So Brian stood up at that eBay Live and said, hey, I am the redheaded stepchild of sellers because I'm a half.com seller. I'm like, oh my God, I remember that. That was my first eBay event. Isn't that sad? It was such a great platform.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
It was great. I loved it.
That platform drove the guy at the post office counter nuts. So you got to think back 20 years when we didn't have pickups and stuff. So I was selling so many CDs on half.com. I got up to, within like 2-3 months, I was selling like 500 CDs a month.
Wow.
And so the postman goes, we got to quit doing this. I go, what do you mean quit doing this? He goes, you have too many items. I go, isn't that your job? Like, I don't even understand how we're having this conversation. And he goes, you could stamp them at home. I'm like, oh, well, teach me how to do that. I'm always open. All right. So let's back up. So Andy, what was your first year of selling online? Do you know about?
Probably 2001 when I was in college. I started selling books on half.com. So I would.
Ooh, were you stealing books at college?
I missed out on that. I was working at a publishing company. And in the returns department, and I would get bookstores apparently at the time were often returning the wrong books to the wrong publisher, and
wow,
they don't want to ship them back, so they would just sit there, and so there were giant book boxes full of books of these books that nobody wanted, and I thought, somebody in the world wants this Christian romance novel. And sure enough, I took every single thing I could home and started listing them. And I made more selling that stuff than I did working at the place. So,
all right. So you were 2002. I'm 2000. Brian, what year did you start selling online?
It should have been, I believe it was 93.
Hey, you got to think back to 93, everybody, because we didn't have just internet like we do now. I mean, it just didn't exist like you know it now. And so when I saw that in the notes, I'm like, 93?
That's the bulletin board era.
Yeah. So,
yes.
So even before that, I love the fact you started this whole endeavor of selling, your specialty is computer parts, hardware, software, shareware. You started by flipping floppies. Oh, wait, I even got a little thing for you here. Hold on. You started by, come on, flipping floppies. There we go. See? So tell us about how your floppy business started. That's just crazy to me.
I got a job working at the computer lab in the library in college, and both bookstores were selling 3M discs. And everyone would come up, the disc would be failing all the time. Everyone's 3.5-inch disc kept failing. So I just got the idea to sell floppies because that's what you needed to save, whether it was a Mac or a PC, you needed the 3.5-inch disc. And I sourced a brand that was good, a higher end brand, and I didn't have failures. Maybe 1% failure, 2% failure, as opposed to so many people, you're writing a midterm and you lose it, you're not happy. And we had one person who actually lost his doctoral because it was stored on a floppy. And the floppy went bad, and boom, there goes the paper, and he had to start from scratch. So So it started in my dorm room. So, by doing that, and I figured from there you do computers and video games, and I wanted to get at academic software because I figured on the college campus students needed software, but and also thought video games would bring people in, because my thought back then was get a store, which of course isn't as easy as one thinks, but video games bring people in, and then you sell the computer or the repair or whatever else you do, but media works together, and it all started from selling floppy disks at my job at the library in the computer lab.
All right, so here's the $1 million question: how much were you making per disc?
I gotta say, oh God, I actually wasn't doing bad, because you buy wholesale. You buy cases of discs from a wholesaler. I don't remember, but I was more than doubling my money.
All right, well, that's good, especially when you're selling quantity. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so someone will buy one, someone will buy two, and I made 10 packs. I mean, most you're selling one at a time, but you're also trying to build up the business, sell other things too. But almost every day a couple discs would sell.
All right, so drop us some. So online back then, you're on Bitnet. How did Bitnet work especially for those who didn't get online till it was like Wi-Fi and high-speed internet? Let's talk about how torturous it was back then.
The easiest way to describe Bitnet is when you list, it's kind of like Craigslist, where just text. Forget the graphics, just text. But it's via your 56K modem. It was dial-up only. You would log in. Yeah. You would log in. It was something, I don't remember the exact name. It was like alt.net.hard drives for sale, and I had several of the hard drive groups that would sell in the groups, and you're competing against other people. So once you list it and you list your prices, the next person lists, and just like Craigslist, it scrolls down. So you got to keep deleting and reposting, or just keep posting every day or two, or it just wanders away. And back then, as I mentioned, it was a 20 meg full size 5 1/4 inch half height hard drive. So you figure, not the little hard drives you used to today, but a 5 1/4 inch half height hard drive, 20 meg, not gig.
Yeah, 20 meg. That's like 7 songs.
But they sold. I mean, consistently were selling hard drives. And back then, there wasn't something like PayPal. So either you get a money order or a check. So, you had to wait for a check to clear.
Yeah, that was anyone who didn't sell in those days has no idea how good they have it now.
Oh, yes.
There's a lot.
Especially when you go to ship something, and just as you go to ship it, you notice the check didn't clear, and so you got to grab that package, make sure it doesn't go out.
But trying to look at porn back then, don't even get me started. So, I mean, it's fascinating to me that you figure that out, because that was not like, nowadays, Andy, you cut a hole in the wall in your kid's bedroom. Did you do that on your own, or did you go look at a YouTube video for some starting points?
Surprisingly, I did on my own.
Okay, so you're handy. I'm not.
Most projects I do, I'm looking on YouTube.
So, think about this. I wanted to buy a TV for the office when I have guests and when I'm doing inventory, and put it up. And that way people could see if I'm doing the show, or so much easier to do inventory, seen on the big screen. So there it is. And I am not handy, and it's on a bracket like you would hang a TV on a wall. I never hung one. And I was about to pay Best Buy $200 to do it. And the bracket I bought, there's a video on Amazon of a woman doing it, and in between putting screws in, she's drinking beer. I'm like, there ain't nothing like throwing the gauntlet down to be like, I'm going to put a screw in and drink a beer. I'm like, all right, I got to be able to do this. And so, Brian, back then, you were like, there was no manual. There was no how to. So how'd you figure it out? Were you just that big of a computer geek? And I do say that lovingly, by the way.
I think I just stumbled upon it. I had a friend who went to Southern, and we were actually talking on Bitnet, where back then you go up to the terminal and you send someone a message. It's pre-email, pre-instant message. So you send them a text, and it goes to them, and then when they get it, they can respond to you. So it was similar, but pre that. And I guess I somehow stumbled upon the news groups, and I was just searching them. When I noticed it, I was reading what people were selling, and I just signed up with a few distributors and went from there and set up some drop shipping with from the distributor, FedEx, or however they ship, FedEx, UPS. But I looked at the formats they were doing, and I looked at how they were doing things and the cost of shipping, and I saw how I could undercut them and still make a good margin.
See, that's the key. Yeah, you know, try and undercut without losing your margins, but always be the most attractive. Oh yeah, check the money orders back in those days. I mean, raise your hand if you ever got quarters taped to a piece of paper in an envelope. Okay, So, I always thought to those people, like, just round up, whatever the nearest dollar is. Why are you taping quarters? And it wasn't just one time; it was so many times.
Oh man.
Oh, traveler's checks. Yeah, we're going way back. So, any of you who are new to this, it's really easy. So, whatever complaint you have nowadays. Yeah, Becky said having to scan in our pictures.
Oh yeah.
And then at the beginning there was no pictures, and there was one picture, and you had to pay for extras. Yeah, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. All right, so let's move it up a little bit. So you're selling, and you're realizing, okay, I can sell hardware, I can sell software. Was it the flea market first or the record store?
Well, I got a job at Walgreens, but at the same time I went to the flea market. And I didn't know how long I was going to sell there. I had some stuff I wanted to sell. My dad had a computer store at one point, and I got all of his leftovers. And I figured let's just dump stuff at the flea market, see how much money I could make. And I did better than I thought. So I went back and I kept making money. People were buying shareware back then. And I was selling shareware. I was selling some computer hardware and video games, because you go garage selling, you pick up stuff. And it kept getting busier and busier for me. So I stuck with them. They moved a couple times. They moved from Rolling Meadows to Mount Prospect, and when they left Mount Prospect, I moved into the back of the record store, and that was fun.
Oh, I can imagine.
They overthought what they needed, and they had this huge back room with this double glass window. And basically, I had a guy cut the window down, and that was the entrance to me. And I helped them out, so if they needed a day off, I'd run the record store. Well, I had the key, obviously. But it was great because media works together. Video games, music, records, it all flows, just like half.com. And it was fun. The hardest part was the area that their store was in. People don't like used. Used didn't sell as well as it does now. People wanted to buy new releases. They just wanted the new CD, the sealed CD. They didn't really buy used as much.
Is this from the record store, this picture?
That's actually from, if I'm not mistaken, that's from the flea markets in Mount Prospect, Wolf's Flea Market in Mount Prospect. We
have Nintendo. I love that sign.
Yeah, actually Nintendo had me buy those. They wouldn't give them to the small stores. At one point they let me buy a bunch of signs, and then they decided that they only give them to the chain stores. But I bought I have a Super Nintendo sign. I got a couple of those. Still have them, fortunately.
That's an epic photo. I don't have enough photos of me back in the day working at record stores. I have pictures of like the bands doing in stores, but just not of me working the counter, working the floor. And I'm kind of bummed, nowadays it's so easy to take a photo. But I realize I miss a lot of good photos of just me working, because in the moment you don't ever think about it, but looking back, you're like, man, I wish I had me working a tower in Hollywood at nighttime and stuff like that. Because that picture is epic.
Well, I didn't even know about that picture. We were at the flea market. Actually, the last one they had was in Palatine, and they were going through some stuff, and they called me up front, and they said, "Hey, look at this." I'm like, oh my God, yeah! So I actually took a picture of that picture. So that's what that is. That's me on my phone taking a picture of the picture. It was like, yeah, I remember that. I remember that because It was actually really cool. And Mount Prospect was awesome. It was an old handy Andy building. And when you walked in the front door, I was along the back wall. But you always knew where I was because on the back wall, I had nailed a Nintendo Power Pad and all video game boxes, ColecoVision, television. So when you walked in, you see all these vintage video game boxes nailed to the back wall. Everybody knew where I was. It was like the perfect setup. Unfortunately, the building was Menards bought the building, I think. So we got kicked out of that. But
that's the other thing that I like about you is you lost this space for this reason. I got kicked out of there, but yet you're still doing it. You're in your own place now, but you're still doing it. You've stayed kind of tried and true to what you started with: computers, video games, hardware, software. Andy, you most of your scores were all music. Are you doing any other? Are you selling clothes at all or collectibles or?
Not too much clothing. I don't like taking pictures of it, so I stay away from it. I like media that it's so easy to store, and I space is limited for me, so that's nice. And then I do quite a bit of posters, so I've got like a flat file. I keep those in. I collect those, and then as my collection grows, I have to kind of weed it out and get rid of some of them. So that's kind of my big two focuses right now. But I can't resist buying something I can make money on too. So.
And what about you, Brian? You do clothes and other stuff too, or no?
I'm starting to try to get into it. I did get some. I got
I asked it. I mean, of course, I had to ask it, but yeah, you were sending me pictures today. You're like, look at these vintage Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah,
so Brian asked me today, and he goes, "Is Heel Hattie's a good brand?" I go, "Yeah, it's common, but it's good. Kind of depends on what it is." I really wasn't expecting him to send me a picture of a vintage shirt. So when he said that picture, it's got the welt pocket. It's the polyester from the 70s. I'm like, oh, hell yeah! It was $2. Heck yeah, get that thing because that's kind of what people are looking for.
Robert Graham's and stuff. I don't know everything. I don't know. I know very little with clothing. That's why that's what's fun about watching people when they post too, asking questions or talking about their stuff. That's you learn from other people. And that's so I learned a little bit. And with the stores that are closing now, I'm going to have to buy a mannequin, so I could actually take pictures. So putting them on a hanger just doesn't work. It's just not the same. So I'm already scouting out which stores are closing so I could buy one.
It's a sad state of affairs for our country, but for those of us who are resellers, it is going to be a boom for us for all these stores going out of business. I am very sad they're going out of business. However, I will use it to my advantage because I will get some fresh mannequins stock. You got to keep your eyes peeled. Anything that's going out of business near you, think about what they sell and also think about their stuff like mannequins. Ladders are not cheap. So when a store goes out of business, they always have a couple. That's where if you need a ladder, you can pick it up for relatively cheap compared to if you walked into Home Depot. So there's a little bonus tip for you.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We got a lot of people watching and only 35 likes. Give us a thumbs up. Give Brian a thumbs up. Give Andy a thumbs up. Look at all the cool stuff we saw. We haven't got to Brian's cool scores yet. Hey, Andy, have you ever sold something to somebody like it came from them? Typically a celebrity, like a company, because Brian did.
Not that I can think of, or not that I know of.
Yeah, I don't know. When I worked in Hollywood, oddly enough, celebrities bought their own music. So not that I was selling directly, but Burt Reynolds bought a Burt Reynolds movie from me. BB King bought BB King box sets. Tommy Chong bought Cheech and Chong CDs. And I never said anything, but I just wanted to say, can't you call someone? Like, I don't understand that right now. So, Brian, you sold an HP computer to a person who works at HP? Was it special? I don't even understand this.
I was questioning it when I saw the address, but I was at the flea market in Palatine, the last flea market, the indoor market they had. I figured, let's list some of the computers. Let's list the desktops. I sold LCDs. I got the double wall cardboard to ship LCDs, so they, because they're really thick, they won't break in them. Let's list the towers, and if they sell, they sell. And someone bought an older HP desktop, and it shipped to the HP corporate office, which part of me was wondering, am I going to get in trouble for selling HP or something, or why are they ordering it? But I guess they had one or something, and they really liked that model, and they wanted it. So it just threw me off.
I'd say a lot of
cool.
companies nowadays are buying some of their older product because they never kept like a catalog, or Levi's is notorious, and notorious is usually a bad word, but for buying their stuff back because they're like, oh, we don't have those and we don't have those. And so if you find stuff, it's pretty cool. It's a little like badge of honor when you can sell a product back to the company it came from or back to the person who created it. Lonnie last week on Thrifty Business sold a poster of a little hot model back to the model. And now she, it's 20 years later, she was like teacher of the year. So, it's just crazy and cool. I think it's super cool. I just don't know if I've ever sold anything back to the person that created it. So I love to hear that kind of stuff.
Well, I was going to actually try. I bought at a garage sale an Apple IIc computer, new sealed in box.
Wow.
I still have it. New sealed in box. There's no monitor. It's just the Apple IIc. It was just the Apple IIc. It's sealed in box. There's no monitor. It doesn't have the monitor. And I want to see it. Maybe Apple will buy it for their museum. Maybe I can. Some collector will probably pay for it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's glued shut. It has not been opened. So old Apple IIc computer I still have, new sealed in box.
I'd love to know what happened. What happened that someone paid all that money and then it never, ever, ever used it? I just don't even understand.
Well, that's how I got an Odyssey 2 system new. I was at the flea market, the Wolf's in Rolling Meadows. Some guy told me he was a Tupperware salesman, and you give out gifts. Well, he had an Odyssey 2. Nobody ever wanted it. So when I saw him at the flea market, he had the system, was new in box. I ended up buying it. Brand new Odyssey 2 system. You figure that came out in the late 70s, 78 or so, and I bought it around 94. It's still new. So it was not. It was just sometimes you get lucky.
Oh yeah, I mean it's all a lot of what we do is right place, right time. Like I went to one of the Savers here in town on Friday. On Mondays, my friend went and found for $1.50 a rare tiki mug in the vase section, like I teach people. And I'm like, oh, please tell me it was one of the Savers that I wasn't at. He goes, no, it was the one you were at. I'm like, right place, right time. He walked in at the right moment. I wasn't there at the right moment. So, it happens. All right, let's finish out with some of the stuff you sold because some of it's kind of cool. I mean, all was kind of cool. When we ask for duds, it was funny. Your story on your duds was you looked at your phone wrong. So you don't really have anything to share with it, but you were looking at stuff not in the solds. Am I correct?
I was, just things that I have to take a look at what I sent you, but there's things that I had that I bought. That. Yeah, I know you're talking. Yeah. What happened was I got a new cell phone. My phone died. I got another phone, and the eBay app doesn't do it now. But back when you used to scan them, you could set the lock position to lowest first. Well, I completely forgot I got a new phone. I was just scanning stuff, and it was scanning best match. So I'm like, cool, I can make money on this. I'm getting excited. I get home going, why are the numbers not looking the same? But
and we've all been there. We've scanned something in the store, and we get home, we're like, what happened? This looks so good when I was standing in the store. All right, so here's the one dud that we have live and in person. The Sandra Bullock romance collection isn't a big winner. And brand new, $6 free shipping. Oh my!
Don't sell it. Don't get returned.
Honestly, some of that stuff. Sometimes back at Goodwill, you're able to get half price day. Now they have fixed price by us, so DVDs are down 99. So sometimes you get them for 99 cents. So I wouldn't mind flipping them just to get. I was trying to build up some feedback.
And that's good.
I wanted to just. I was just trying to build the numbers up, get back into selling online, and just get me going. So I was, I used some DVDs like that just to get me in the momentum, so I can list other things and just keep it going.
Well, yes, I like Sandra Bullock too, but yeah, this is now if it was the movie The Net, oh yeah, now we're talking. All right. So we have your regular scores coming up, but you shared with us some things that you got a lot of. So tell us about this Halo shirt or Halo.
Oh, that's awesome. I don't know if I have any more. My distributor called me when I'm placing an order. He's like, this was a promo piece. I don't know if it was Walmart or another store. During the Halo 2 Midnight Madness sale, you bought the game, you got a free shirt. Well, my distributor had cases of these things just sitting around. And my sales rep was like, hey, you want any Halo shirts? I'm like, how much? Oh, no, we just got to get rid of them. I said, how many can I have? He said, how many do you want? So I took a bunch of boxes, and then I placed another order for something else. I said, hey, can I get more? Sure, how many do you want? So every time I placed an order, and sometimes, excuse me, I just placed an order just so I can get more shirts. I just grabbed a box of shirts. There are 24 per box, large and extra large, white and black. And at one point, I started at the flea market. I was selling for $5 each because I had so many of them, and they were slowly selling. But then once the flea market, that one closed, I just started listing them online, and they kept getting higher and higher in price. More and more people wanted them because they are a promo. Not sure that they actually sell. So it's Fruit of the Loom. It's a name brand, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a name brand. And people still email me asking for them.
And not just promo T-shirts. How about shoelaces? Okay, here's something I can honestly say I've never sold in my life. I have never sold a shoelace.
Well, the shoelaces and the Splatterhouse stickers. I went to a distributor that sold TurboGrafx games, and
wow,
they gave me a bunch of promo stuff. And I got some Bomberman buttons, and on those I'm not selling because I only have like 101, and I'm a Bomberman fan, so I'll keep the buttons. But I also had some was it Bonk stickers, but those I had such small quantity. People in, of course, the TurboGrafx groups wanted those. But these I don't remember if these came with the game or these are promos, but people are buying them quantity at a time. People like them. It's a nice thing it's just a nice novelty to have of a game that's 30 years old. I believe it came out in 1990, TurboGrafx, that era, 1992.
Yeah.
And it's like the T-shirt I sold. If you can get freebies wherever you're at for whatever reason, don't ever say, get them. Because somewhere, especially with the amount of online selling platforms we have nowadays, somewhere someone wants them. And so get all the free goodies you can and let's sell them. All right, let's talk about your regular scores this week here. Because we are more media. Woo!
Nice.
Yeah, those I saw those. They weren't that expensive. They were, I bought both of them because they weren't expensive. I saw they sold for maybe $30-$40 each. But then I saw someone selling two of them. Both sets. I figured those both sets. That lasted a few days. I think a couple of days after I listed it, someone bought it at that price. It's okay, sure. I packed it nice in a box, shipped it out. But I was really happy with that. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. I would not look at that and think that big of money. Okay, how old? 89. This video game is 89, Andy. How old were you in 89?
9.
I was in college, you youngster.
I played TurboGrafx, but never this game.
Dragon Spirit is one of the games. I actually have. It's away right now. I have Magical Chase, new sealed. Someone offered me $10,000 for it. I have every game but one for the entire U.S. lineup.
Wow.
And that if I get a used copy, I'll sell the new copy. But because that's one of my favorite systems. I don't know how serious they were with their offer, but people have offered good money for some of these games. I have Jackie Chan Action Kung Fu is one of the rare games in the system. I have a couple copies new sealed, but they're not in good condition. I list it high with best offer, and I say, hey, people make offers based on what they look at the pictures. But yeah, that's new sealed. I have a handful of new sealed games. Some of them I got from a distributor. I was too young to think about flipping. I remember when the system was clearance, I went into a Toys R Us and games were cheap, and I should have bought them. I didn't think at the time. I bought a couple for myself, but they had some games that are worth a lot more than I would have expected. So
Well, yeah, it would back back then that system just wasn't popular, even though it was a great system. It's,
It's insanely popular now.
Yeah.
As far as collectors.
Everything old is new again. That's why Andy's selling $25 Tom Petty cassettes. So, do you remember what you paid for this?
No, we got them in a big lot. What happened was a mail order company called me and said, "Hey, got all this stuff," and the problem was they packed them in cardboard boxes, games stacked end to end, a bunch of cubes, no packing material. So all the games, so even the jewel case games. I mean, like this one jewel case is fine, but I got some of them that jewel case is smashed. They just loaded them all in boxes and shipped them out. Not one bubble wrap or anything in the boxes, from I think California to Chicago. So, based on the number of games, they didn't cost that much.
All right, more DVDs. I thought DVDs were dead, and most of them are, but with some work, there's some good ones in there. I've been selling some good ones lately too.
Oh yeah, that was a $1.99 Goodwill find.
Nice. I think they just took this off Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. So
I was gonna say, is this on Disney Plus? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not a big enough fan, but I do vaguely remember hearing that.
I've been fairly lucky with DVDs on some of these. This one I did have for a while, but because there weren't so many listed, I figured let it ride. I figured being Star Wars and being that there weren't too many up there, someone sooner or later will buy it. And I was glad that one finally did sell.
Well, heck yeah. Oh, I have never found.
Oh, no.
I have never found that.
No, that's not good though. That's not good.
What?
Came back to me.
Oh, no.
It died. Yeah, she put fresh batteries in it, and it beeps, but does not spin. So it is a defect everyone's warned me about. Mine died also. I had one years ago. Same thing. You put the batteries in it, it'll beep, and that's all it'll do. I was excited. It sold. I shipped it out, and then I got an email back return. I'm like, great. So
it is a good bolo. Keep your eyes out for them, but also know it does have it could falter. So just know that when you're going into it.
Yeah, it's an exciting sale unless you get that return request.
Yeah.
Maybe test those out too. I mean, if you never know if someone's going to throw their defective one in.
Yeah, it's true too. Or you get one of those UV markers and you mark yours.
Yeah.
3DO.
Yeah, here's a game system that no one knows.
Oh man, this was not popular and not. Yeah, it was pretty clunky from what I remember.
Well, from the picture of me that you had, when I was at that flea market, I had a 3DO and a Sega CD set up next to each other. And I timed the game Dragon's Lair to play at the same time on both systems to show that the 3DO's graphics were much better than the Sega CD. And people would walk by and look at it, and you see both, and they both did the same video. You have to start at the same time. People are like, wow, it's so much better. But it was so expensive for the system. But I bought a bunch of games from the distributors, and I still have a couple left over. And some of them, I just sold one this week. Another game for, I'd have to check. I just sold another 3DO game earlier this week. So the collectors are buying them. On the used side, it's easier to sell them. I right in front of me, I have new 3DO control pads from Gold Star. Nobody's buying them. I sold maybe one or two of them. But, again, you can't find the system. It's hard to buy. Not many people want to buy a game if you don't have a system, I guess.
Yeah, and that's kind of the key when you find these game systems that didn't do well. 20 years later, now is when you're making the money.
Yep.
The game, there are good games in Super NES and NES, but still, 3DO. I'm going to guess most of you never even heard of it. And it nowadays you can get $80 for a game because there's just so few out there. You don't walk into a used game store and find a lot of 3DO games. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I bought a Dreamcast the day it dropped, and since I've bought and sold it system a couple times, and wish I still had it now because some of those games are worth a nice chunk of change.
Yes, people love that system. It was a great system.
Yeah.
The only flaw is the disc, because you scratch a disc, you can't read it.
Yeah.
You can't. I can't resurface it. I got the resurfacing machine right next to me. You cannot resurface Dreamcast or Blu-ray on this machine. It's because it's a GD-CD, and so you get a scratch. You're lucky if it reads it, great. But if it's a bad scratch, you lost your game, and that's unfortunate. It's a great system, though.
Yeah.
So here's just a general question. Let me change the look so we can see Andy. There we go. There's Andy. Hey, Andy. Chuck wants to know, for anyone, how do you know what to price buy it now for and not lose money? Basically, don't leave money on the table. It's his biggest fear and hurdle. So the way I do it, you go to eBay Solds. And if you have an eBay store, which you should, especially since there's even a really small store nowadays, you get TerraPeak. Not for the smallest level, the middle level on up. And TerraPeak gives you 365 days. So you look it up and you're like, okay, it shows you the average. So let's say we're very specific. Say that 3DO game we just shared, for the last 365 days, it will show how many is sold, all their sold prices, and it'll give you an average. And the way I do things, if an item sells for an average of, say, $100, I price it at $120. I price it 20% above where it sells. That way I can run sales. That way people can make offers. But I would say 10% of the time, people just snag it for that price. So I get a little bit more than I should have. And that's how I price things. So I don't really leave money on the table. What about you, Andy?
Yeah, I do the same thing. And I think the one other thing I always try to look at is current competition for that item. You know, how many other people have it listed right now? If there's none, then I'll price it higher than the previous solds. If I think it can garner that. If there's a lot of competition, then you just got to decide if you want to sell it now or later when the other ones sell. Or but definitely TerraPeak is the tool I use often, so it's nice to have that.
And what about you, Brian?
Well, I do use eBay and Amazon. I look at what the current prices are, or if anybody has it. There's two apps. Price Charting is one of them for video games, and then there's Game Prices Now or something like that. And the same thing, it'll show you the trending rates, new, used, and all that, and what platform eBay or Amazon sells them on. I don't trust those though, because they're wrong usually. But if I see that nobody has it new, like some of the games I have, nobody else has new, I'll price it really high. I might say $500 best offer, and if someone says 200, I'll think to myself, well, that's not a bad offer. Maybe, sure, I'll take it. I don't want to price it too low, because just like you said, you'd be leaving a lot of money on the table.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends on the game. It does depend on the game. I mean, if you're talking like a PS2 game, it's a little easier to see a trend on a PS2 game. If you find a vintage game, TurboGrafx, say a Saturn, something really older systems that's new sealed or rarer, you want to spend more research on it, because certain games, especially now after with COVID and everything else, games have been skyrocketing in some cases, that you can make a lot of money on certain titles. Or collectors, even PS1 games like Final Fantasy, some of those games, you can make a fortune on some of that stuff.
Oh my gosh, Grace, do you have an eBay store and you've never looked at? I hope you have an eBay store. You've had TerraPeak for free for quite a while now. It's under your research tab, so definitely use it. It's awesome. So I'll end on this because it kind of goes with that. This is a very rare mug from the Tonga Room, which is still in business in the Fairmont Hotel. It's a tiki mug with earrings. The white paint is called the way it was applied was called cold paint. So they would make the mug and then they would paint on the white paint. So if you throw it in your dishwasher, goodbye white paint. So you often see these mugs all brown because someone threw it in their dishwasher. So a person found who's found it? Dasha found this and asked for some help. I kind of missed it last night, so I did apologize. But she couldn't find any recent solds. I couldn't either. So I did a little more digging. One did sell a little over a year ago, beginning of June, and sold for $40. And the one before that sold for $30. So two things. Both of their titles were not good. The other two solds. And the one that sold for $30, the white was gone. So Dasha's got one all white in great condition. I'm going to help her make the best title she can be. And no one's had one in 365 days now. So we're going to go higher than the last one because good paint. And she's got me helping her. That's kind of it too. So when you use best offer, you can always go higher too. Like, let's shoot for it. I said, put it up for 100. It'll probably sell for around 50 or 60, but let's put it up for 100. Someone has that hole in their collection and they see this nice, clean one. They might just snag it. So, you can never go lower. You never can go higher. So go high, but we'll always have best offer. So we'll end on that because that's a great tip. I think the three of us have all been successful at using that. And sometimes we end up with more money than we should have just because someone was in a hurry and needed a Pink Floyd cassette in second day air. I mean, think about it. When's the last time you spent $60 on a used cassette? Never. So what do you got coming up this summer, Andy? Anything exciting?
No, nothing too much. Just working around the house and trying to get all my many boxes of CDs sorted and either listed or donated. I'm at that point of the lots of CDs that don't ever get put up. I'm like, I either gotta shit or get off the pot here because that's driving me nuts to have all that stuff sitting around.
And what about you, Brian? Anything exciting you got coming up in the next couple months?
Well, Goodwill opened up last Friday. I didn't know that. So today when I found out, I made it back in time, obviously, but I did a little Goodwill run on my so I'm going to have a little fun getting back into things, watching your videos to learn more, but of course, learning from people on the boards. But I'm going to have a little fun going to Goodwill. There's not going to be that many garage sales, and they're going to have some, but not a lot. So I'm going to try a few of those. I'm just going to get back into where I should be to learn other things. And because as everybody should know, it's always a learning experience. You got to keep growing. Video games are good and bad, but there are so many people that get into them that it gets very difficult sticking with one thing. So you got to branch out. And music CDs are awesome because it's fun. You might find something you like. Yep. I found thanks to Jimmy Buffett, I found 2 Brother Is CDs that I've been enjoying. Nice. So it's, he mentioned a few artists. I found a couple of them. I'm like, cool, this is awesome. So yeah, music's awesome.
Awesome. All right, everybody. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. If you haven't done so yet, give us a big old thumbs up. Give Brian a thumbs up. Give Andy a thumbs up. I'm sure you've learned something tonight. And if you've never subscribed, if you're new to the channel, welcome. How are you? Subscribe right here. Make sure you click the bell. The bell lets you know when we're going live. And I always forget to say this. If you're watching after the fact, hi, thank you for watching very much. If you've got a question for myself or Brian or Andy, leave it down below. And I always catch up with all the messages. And if there's a question for Andy or Brian, I will let them know. And we will answer any and all questions. So if you watch it tomorrow or next week or next month, whatever, no biggie, we're happy to respond. So thank you, everybody. I'll be back on Sunday with Mom at 7 o'clock East Coast, 4 o'clock West Coast, and then Thrifty Business. All right, back here next week. How to make goals and stick to them. I'm actually going to learn too because I'm horrible at it. So I look forward to that. So thank you very much, Andy, for sitting in the co-host chair.
Yeah, thanks Brian, for having me on.
Very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good evening, everybody. We'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.